everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here for First Alert 6 Streaming. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Ren Hartley, joined by meteorologist Jarrett Lansford and the senior chief meteorologist Rusty Lord. All right, let's get to the forecast first thing. Talk about the rain chances and some outskirts of the metro.
So far, nothing in the metro. It's mostly been north, but step outside, you're going to see the clouds that are associated with those showers. So let's show you what's happening right now. We've had a blanket of clouds move in and giving us a beautiful sunrise here as we look off towards the east. But that layer of clouds moving in will greatly impact our day today. And what that does is take our 50s this morning, and they'll warm pretty slow until we get into the afternoon. So calm winds expected this morning and frankly much of the day. I don't think wind's going to be much of an issue, but there's a little batch of showers that Aaron was mentioning, mostly north of I-80, and that's where the best odds will be today. You can see the south edge of these really struggle, but new development keeps happening on the north edge as they stream in our direction. So the clouds move in. There's a couple of showers. Been watching for a little lightning from one or two of these, but so far I haven't seen anything on radar. But the south edge is in between Scribner, Tacoma, and West Point right now sneaking into northern parts of Washington County. Otherwise, the rest of this is just ground clutter. Normally happens as the sun rises and the atmosphere changes a bit in the morning. And in close to the metro, no sprinkles or anything happening at this point. So the drop-off forecast, as you take the kids out this morning, we're at 54. We'll have small chances of rain in the metro. Best odds to the north. We'll climb into the upper 50s slowly. And you can see where most of us are in the mid 50s right now and starting that slow climb. But a cooler morning on the Iowa side yet again, where we've had clear skies down to 43 in Clarinda, 43 in Carroll right now. So the kids heading back to school this week, and first week of school on the Iowa side for most districts. Chilly couple of mornings you've had to deal with. Take the coat with you for sure. Even as the sun warms us, we're not going to move much as far as the muggy meter goes, so it is going to be a pretty pleasant stretch of weather for the day today. There's the clouds here moving in. There's the best odds for the rain. Models doing a pretty good job picking up on this with the shower activity still north of I-80 primarily by noon, or by 9 I should say. By noon, not too much left. We're in the upper 60s to right around 70. By 3 o'clock, we're in the mid 70s. And climbing to about 75 degrees for that afternoon high today. But you can see, even when we do decrease the clouds, it's never perfectly sunny. I think we'll call this partly cloudy for the good chunk of the afternoon. Very enjoyable nonetheless. Disregard any of these spotty showers that are trying to show up. Likely won't be anything to worry about. And by 10 o'clock, pretty quiet conditions. Those clouds move east, could produce a few showers east of our area overnight. And then some high clouds move in from the west during the overnight into tomorrow morning, and those will be around quite a bit too, but I still think we can warm up on Wednesday, go to 82 there. Little bit of a south breeze, maybe some gusts 20 to 25 miles per hour, shouldn't be a big deal. 85 then on Thursday under partly cloudy skies, as that now looks like that could be the warmest day of this week over a pretty cool final week of August.
All right, and we know a lot of people making the trip to Kansas City for that big opener. So how's the weather looking in KC?
Finally starting to come together where there's some pretty good consistency with this forecast. I was worried about it being a pretty warm one when we were looking at it last week, and now getting a little closer. I think we'll get into the 80s during the day, but remember it's an 8 o'clock kickoff, so by then we're mid 70s and gradually cooling. There'll be some clouds around as Nebraska plays Cincinnati, but overall that weather looking pretty good there. And even beyond that, if you're heading down and you're going to do the football game on Thursday and then head over to the K to watch some baseball on Friday, Husker Day at the K there in Kansas City. 83 here, just a tad warmer there on Friday, but a pretty good one nonetheless. And then some rain chances to watch this weekend. Keep an eye on these because while models haven't been really consistent on the timing this weekend, every model's had rain at some point this weekend. So we'll be watching that Saturday and Sunday and maybe even a little bit lingering into Labor Day. But still, not seeing any 90s on that as we head into early September. It looks like a pretty quiet stretch of weather. Even the stuff this weekend doesn't look like it'll be all that strong. It's just probably some nuisance rain as you're trying to enjoy the outdoors.
So there's a chance we could be done with 90s.
Minus like a weird 1 or 2, but I think right now no heat waves to worry about the rest of summer.
We'll say that, and then of course end of September will be
You just
miserable.
did it right there. When
I know.
It's 90,
sorry.
When it's a 90 October 1st, that's her fault.
Thanks. Thanks. All right, we'll get an update on traffic. So far, things on a Tuesday looking pretty good. Are there any exceptions, though?
We've got a few. Most areas do look good, like you said, but we've got a couple of spots that you do need to watch for that are going to be a headache for you as you're heading out the door. Let's come over here and I'll show you where those are, and this one should surprise you at all. This is as you're heading westbound I-80. Look at all the brake lights as you're heading into that construction zone. This is one of our less pleasant mornings heading into this area that we've had, as the backups go all the way to the 680 interchange from that construction zone on I-80 westbound right around the Giles to L area. So not a good start if you're using I-80. Hopefully we can maybe manage some kind of improvements through that stretch. Another familiar one that we've had, the JFK, as you're trying to make your way along that ramp going from northbound JFK to westbound I-80. Things pretty backed up on the ramp itself, and we've occasionally seen that flare up even further down the JFK. It looks better right now, but remember, as I've said on the stream before, usually this is kind of the low. We see things at their worst approaching 7 p.m. They get better for a brief time, and then they flare up again as we get toward about 7:20, 7:30. So keep that in mind if that's a route that you use often during the morning. One area I will be watching, and you could see how much it's already backing up, is Highway 92 in Harry Langdon. This is an area where we really saw things slow down yesterday, and we have the rest of the Lewis Central students who weren't in session yesterday going to the classroom today, and that's actually the bulk of the students that will be there today. So it's going to be pretty backed up in this area. A lot of times during the school year, this is an area that gets pretty slow, so keep that in mind if you're going to be driving in that part of Council Bluffs. Mostly moving along pretty well, though. You can see a couple of isolated spots that are a little bit slower. That includes this area of Center. There's a reason for that one. We're going to talk more about that in just a bit. We still have plenty of construction ongoing, and that does line up with a lot of those slowest areas right now. So we'll dig into the details on that, and hopefully we can keep things moving pretty well as they have been so far.
All right, Jared, thank you. Police say a woman is hurt after a shooting in North Omaha. This happened near 39th and Ellison at around 8:30 last night. We're told the victim will survive. According to OPD, there was at least one house and multiple cars hit by bullets. At this point, no word on any possible suspects. Happening today, Omaha City Council set to consider Mayor John Ewing's first budget proposal.
Yeah, Ewing's first presented the budget to council late last month. Included in the budget are increases for fire and police. It also prioritizes city parks, affordable housing. It addresses poverty and homelessness and fixing the roads. The council will also vote on the city's capital improvement program today. Also today, the Omaha City Council will hear a proposal to outlaw homeless encampments on public property. Anyone camping out on public property could face 30 days in jail, a fine of up to $300, or both. They would get a chance to be taken to a shelter before being arrested. The Open Door Mission says more resources need to be provided if this ordinance passes.
All right, now we're over here at the safety desk with Maria Cade. Maria, people who are at risk of dementia may want to consider the Mediterranean diet.
Yeah, there's a new study that's finding that specific diet actually lowers the risk of dementia, especially for people who have the APOE4 gene. And that gene is a major genetic risk factor for Alzheimer's disease. So the research followed 5,700 people for more than 3 decades. Researchers found people with 2 APOE4 genes reduce their probability of developing dementia by at least 35% when they ate the Mediterranean diet. So this diet is majority plant-based. You can have fish, veggies, fruits, nuts, whole grains, and olive oil. The diet also calls for little to no alcohol or red or processed meat as well. So something to maybe consider if you are predisposed for this.
All right, good to know. Maria, thank you. We're back after this.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. We are looking live outside. I am loving the sunrises we've seen lately. I'm telling you.
Fog sometimes. Or
I
clouds
know.
others.
That's a good sign that we're in for a good day. Let's check in with Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Lord. By the way, it's National Dog Day, so you'll probably take your dog on an extra walk today. You've got the forecast for us.
And the weather's we've had some really hot days and you haven't been able to do it. You either got to do it really early or really late. Well, any time today likely works out very well. We'll have some clouds keeping us cooler this morning. Right now we're at 54 degrees. That's the number you see here, the current temperature. Here's the forecast for when you get home from work and maybe you want to take the dog for a walk. You got mid 70s that turn into lower 70s by 7 o'clock. So no matter when you go out, I think you're going to have some good weather the weather is really playing into our favor today. Now, a little shower maybe trying to show up here between Utan and Ashland, but anything out there's been pretty spotty and weak. Now, it's likely just ground clutter on second look, but you can see back here west of Blair with some shower activity that extends up through West Point and Wayne, and that's the thing. The most of the shower activity has been north of I-80 and trying to drift to the southeast. So now a little bit of that may be sneaking into the Iowa side here this morning, and a little wider view shows the rest of us probably just dealing with the clouds, and that will dictate the day. How quickly does this batch of clouds and the showers move through, and how quickly can we build in some warmth behind it? We're in the 50s right now, and you can see the cooler air to the east with 40s, 43 in a couple of spots. So that is a brisk morning in the valleys of western Iowa. And model's doing a good job showing that little batch of showers. By 9 o'clock, moving across the river, fizzling a little bit as it goes that direction, some clouds around. And the thickest clouds moving east into the afternoon, and then we can break up the clouds a little bit. Disregard any of the green here. Probably won't be any shower activity, but we'll climb into the mid 70s for a high and then start to fall back into the evening. There's another recap of that game day forecast if you're heading down to Kansas City. Again, it sounds odd to say, but yeah, that's where the first one's going to be played. Kickoff about 8 o'clock at 76, falling off to near 70 degrees by the end of that game. Now, I mentioned there are going to be some showers that are nearby on Thursday, mostly to the south and southwest and early in the morning. This is 7 a.m., but those should move out, and then the clouds will gradually do the same into the afternoon. So that's why I think during the day can probably warm into the 80s there while we're 85 in Omaha. It'll be maybe just a tad cooler in Kansas City, and then no rain to worry about during that game from 8 to 11, maybe even as late as midnight. It looks like things will be pretty quiet, and we'll keep 80s around into the weekend.
Okay, we can already start talking about Labor Day weekend, which next weekend, by the way. How are things going to be shaping up? There
are some rain chances, so I don't think it's going to be an all-weekend washout, but the timing has been very inconsistent from model to model, looking at Saturday, Sunday, and even into Monday. So we're just keeping the chances low until we figure out the exact time frame and give you a little better idea of what that looks like. But if you're wondering where the heaviest rain potential is, this is a look at the possibilities over the next week or so. And you can see where the darker blues are. That's where the heaviest half-inch to maybe 1-inch rain totals could be over the next 7 days. And this largely takes into account that rain over the weekend. So the farther east you live, the less likely you are to see much in the way of rain. Farther west you live, the more likely it is, especially over that Labor Day weekend. So that's what we'll be tracking. I think right now probably Saturday afternoon would be the earliest shower activity. And then from then there, a lot left undecided. We'll just say that and see how models handle things the next few days.
All right, Russ, thank you. Let's get a look at how traffic is moving this morning. It seems like everywhere we go, there's construction. You're giving us a tour, Jared, from what I understand.
Yeah, hope you like orange, because you're going to be seeing a lot of it here with where we're heading. Let's check in on some of those construction zones where we are seeing a lot of our biggest issues. That definitely the case there in the top left of the boxes here, where you have I-80 really backed up heading into that area right near Giles. But that's far from the only spot. And right around 90th and Dodge, you aren't seeing any in the exact intersection there, but not far away as you're heading toward that on 90th. You still have some lingering construction, and that's contributing to some slowdowns. Let's check in on that area. And you can see most of the slowdowns actually on Dodge right now, but a little slow as you're heading northbound there and that is where we have some one-lane travel. It's scheduled to wrap up tomorrow, so this one won't be around too much longer, but be ready for that as you're heading into that area. Some other areas where we are looking at some work contributing to slowdowns, that includes as you're right near 72nd heading southbound just past Dodge. That's where you have that lane restriction that's in place there into October. And then some new areas. I've been noticing quite the delays right around 50th and Center, where Center you're going to be shifted into the center lane as you're heading westbound. 50th, you've got southbound restrictions that will be in place there. That is a common alternate route to taking Saddle Creek for people. So watch for that. That'll be in place for the next 2 months, where you'll look at some delays possible as a result of that. The I-80 delays really stand out here on the map. Starting to get the first inklings of our Dodge delays that we get often during the school year, right around 144th, 156th. So eastbound travelers, beware of that. Elsewhere, we've been looking pretty good. A little slow right near Nebraska crossing, but it's a pretty smooth start to our commute, and we're hoping we can hold on to that here as we continue to pick up the traffic load here over the next hour and a half.
All right, Darrell, thank you. A significant change to address public safety signed now into law.
Yeah, LB 530 highlights juvenile justice reform measures.
And we're just talking about detaining them until the judge can figure out what's the best thing to do for this child and this family that's in trouble. There's obviously problems.
Well, parts of the bill stem from a disturbing murder case last fall when an Omaha Uber driver was shot and killed. Well, 6 people under the age of 18 were arrested in connection to that murder, including an 11-year-old. State law says the 11-year-old was too young to be detained. LB 530 changes that. The law lowers the age a child offender can be detained from 13 to 11. The bill also gives law enforcement the right to look at sealed juvenile records to see if there's a history of gun possession connected to a child suspect. Well, we've got a look inside OPPD's new advanced meter infrastructure farm. It's where the utility will house some 400,000 new smart meters.
Here's what OPPD wants you to know. They'll get a 90, a 60, and a 30-day warning for when it's time to turn when it's your turn to get a smart meter. With that new meter, you'll be able to see how you're using energy and make adjustments to lower the bill if you want. The company stresses if you do choose to opt out of that new meter, you will pay a monthly fee. The plan is to start rolling those out this fall. Still ahead, Chicago has crowned its best bald head.
It's the first of its kind competition, and you'll see it when we come back.
All right, happening today, Starbucks bringing back its fall classic, the pumpkin spice latte.
Yum! The coffee chain announced the drink's arrival a month earlier than usual this year. Starbucks has other favorites returning today as well. They include the pumpkin cream cold brew. Jarrett likes that one, gave that the thumbs up. Iced pumpkin cream chai. I'm a chai fan. And pecan crunch oat milk latte, which piqued your interest, right, Russ?
Yeah, that one doesn't sound too bad. I'm more of a winter drink. Give me the peppermint mocha.
Yes.
That too.
There's something that comes out in the spring too. I like.
I had the pecan one last year. It was really good.
It was good?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
we got to try it.
And that, if you don't like the pumpkin, that good.
Yeah.
Different option.
And Aaron mentioned a lot of our local
Yeah.
coffee shops have their fall flavors too, so you can support everybody.
There you go.
All right, new this morning, a bald head isn't nearly as limiting as you may think.
All right, there's multiple ways to rock that chrome dome. That was obvious in Chicago this weekend.
even the
bald
bald
cat, all
dog.
right.
At the first ever bald off competition, dozens of people showed up to try to win the baddest baldy award. A hairless cat even made the appearance, but in the end, it was a man dressed as the ultra helpful tough guy, Mr. Clean, who took home the prize.
Awesome.
We don't know if this was a one-off at the start of an annual
Where's the
tradition,
winner?
but judging by how much fun everybody seemed to have, the latter is a safe bet. Were you aware of this?
I was not aware of. Nobody invited me.
They should have.
I couldn't have done better than Mr. Clean, though. I'll tell you that much. He did
That is
well.
funny.
That was good.
It's good to celebrate people,
Yeah,
just sometimes people can be kind of,
It's low maintenance. I watch all you guys getting ready in the morning, and I'm just like, okay,
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm ready to go.
If they bring the competition to Omaha, you might have a good try.
I'll give it a shot.
Rusty's for the people. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to get ready for our update in today's show. You can watch it here on Streaming or over the air.
have a great start to your Tuesday.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Tuesday morning to you. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Aaron Hartley. Let's get an update on your traffic this morning with Jarrett Lansford.
And I'm tracking an issue that's going on here on eastbound Dodge. This is on the left shoulder, right past 144th. This may be a crash, but you can see the vehicle's over on the left shoulder there. Watch for some delays as people see the situation there and then check up. Elsewhere, where we've got some issues, we're really backing up quite a bit on westbound I-80 as you're approaching that construction zone right near L. So be ready for things to be very slow all the way into the 680 interchange. We're seeing those delays stick out. JFK and Highway 370 also with some struggles in the early going. Rusty.
Thanks, Jared. You saw some clouds on some of the camera views that Jarrett was showing you, and that's what's keeping our temperatures pretty steady this morning. We're in the mid-50s in most spots in the metro, and pretty uniform for that matter as well. Those clouds have moved in from the northwest, and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. You can see how where the clouds have not been around, temperatures have dropped off a lot on the Iowa side, down in the 40s, but they've been moving in from the northwest and keeping most of the area in the 50s. And there's that blanket of clouds now starting to spread a little farther east. There's some showers in that. This just determines how the entire day goes. How fast these showers move east and the clouds go with them will determine how warm we can get. And we've had to trend up a little bit with our forecast because it looks like they're picking up a little pace. So best odds for rain north of I-80. You can see where the showers are, Blair to Tacoma right now. And we'll keep chances in through about lunchtime and then some clearing, and we'll go to 75 degrees later on this afternoon. Aaron?
The Omaha City Council is set to consider Mayor John Ewing's budget proposal. Included are budget increases for fire and for police. It also prioritizes city parks, affordable housing, and addresses poverty and homelessness and fixing the roads.
It is 7:28. We're back with another update for you in about 25 minutes. We'll see you then.